Les, can you tell our audience, please, about the visual listings? How does Social Security consider one's sight in evaluating their disability claim?
Annie, that's a good question, because a lot of people have a misconception if they say, well, I'm legally blind, therefore I can't work. Well, legal blindness is a specific term for Social Security. To be legally blind, to be statutorily blind, your visual acuity, that is, when you're up there can you read the letters, read the letters, and you get the lowest letter you can read. They look at both eyes too. In your best eye, it has to be 20/200 or worse. And or the field of vision, that is, when you look at basically what your peripheral field is. If it's so constricted, it's like 20 degrees, then you're statutorily blind for Social Security purposes. But now, if you got one eye and you can't see squat out of it, and the other eye you see at least, say you see 20/60, well, that's good enough to get you a driver's license. But let's say if you can't see anything out of one eye and you can see 20/60 out of the other, or 20/20, whatever it is, then you're not blind. Now, you think you're blind, and you might be limited to jobs that don't require moving machinery, or you're not a saw cutter, or you're not doing anything where you don't have any depth of field. Because if you got one eye, you have problems at a depth of field. If you got one eye, for instance, if I was looking at that cup, I might miss it when I went to grab it. So, even though you're not legally blind or statutorily blind, from a practical standpoint, from a vocational standpoint, you may be limited severely in what work you can do. And, visual acuity is important in so many jobs. And that's one of the things that judge will ask a vocational expert, limited to, you don't require any fine focus or fine print, or you're not limited to fine visual acuity. And that eliminates a lot of jobs. But, if somebody's got fairly poor vision, they could be out there, they could do laboring work as long as, they were able to see any hazards around them, or hazards on the ground, or, say not being around hammers or things like that, where they might not see the hammer or the danger. So just because somebody says, I can't see anything, I got poor vision is different than being blind. And blind is different than being statutorily blind, because you can effectively be blind, but you're not statutorily blind.
So is it fair to say, Les, that if someone does not meet the visual listing, but they still have very significant vision problems, they could still be found disabled based upon, for instance, if they were a secretary and they can't read papers or look at a computer, their poor vision is still going to significantly impact their case.
Also, yeah, sure. And it also, you look at that in conjunction with what they can physically do. If you take somebody out there, and where visual acuity is not all that important, is, say somebody's working, digging ditches. I use that as an example. You don't have to have a whole lot of good vision to dig ditches. All you need to do is have a good back and being able to stand and walk a lot. So vision in that case is not that important. Now, if your job is driving a truck, you need good vision, because, you don't want to kill anybody or cause any damage. So in those kind of situations, vision is important. But poor vision will certainly restrict the availability of jobs that you can perform at any exertional level. And we talk about exertional levels. Is it sedentary work where you're sitting down most of the time? Is it light work where you're lifting up to 20 pounds occasionally, 10 pounds frequently? Is it medium work where you're lifting up to 50 pounds occasionally, 20 pounds frequently? Or is it heavy work where you're lifting up to 100 pounds? Or very heavy work where you're lifting over 100 pounds? And those are the exertional limitations. So they consider your vision and what you can physically do. And so, if your job is just toting stuff. When I was in college, I had a summer job, and I was a carpenter's helper. So I was a laborer. And what I did, I toted, lumber, long boards. I was in good shape. I could do that. But that job didn't require a whole lot of vision. But my vision was okay. But
right.
So they look at everything as a everybody's unique. Everybody's an individual. What might fit one person might not fit somebody else. What might be applicable to one person is not applicable to somebody else.
Thank you, Les. That was a great answer.